Hey there, I'm Jake the Ashen Hollow, and if you're watching this video, I hope you're doing absolutely fantastic. Now, before we jump into recapping the story of Darksiders 1 and 2, to catch you up for part 3, I want to preface this by saying that this will be a telling and chronological order of the events that happened in the game's universe. By that I mean, I'll go over some of the events of 1, then all of the events of 2, and then the rest of 1, since that is the order in which the things happened. So let's giddy on up and take a look at our favorite cowboys of the apocalypse. Bang, bang! Wait, no, that's not right. From the dawn of time, both heaven and hell warred between one another. During this conflict, from the dust of both angel and demon, the Nephilim race was born. The Nephilim were a mighty race that put many realms to the blade and reduced them to ash. That was until 4 of them grew weary of the slaughter and feared it would imperil the balance. Also drawn to this conflict was the Charred Council, an entity bound by ancient laws, charged by the Creator to preserve order and balance. It held that any great power unchecked threatened the very fabric of the universe. Those 4 Nephilim made a truce with the Charred Council and were granted unimaginable power and became the Council's enforcers, became the 4 Horsemen. The Horsemen's first task was to slay their Nephilim kin and destroy their souls. The horseman called Death slaughtered his own, but could not bring himself to destroy their souls. Instead, he collected their souls inside of an amulet unknown to the council, and would later bestow that amulet upon the Keeper of Secrets. In time, heaven and hell would come to honor the council and its laws, for none escaped the swift justice of its 4 riders. Amidst the turmoil, though, the first humans appeared. The council foretold that these creatures, though weak but cunning, would be integral to the balance. So a 3rd kingdom was named, the Kingdom of Man. The council ordered a truce be made between heaven and hell until such a time that mankind was ready for the end war between all 3 kingdoms that would finally bring about balance. This great pact was bound by 7 seals to be broken at the appointed time as to signal the end of war. Fast forward far into the future, and what I suppose you'd call modern-day humanity. Angels and demons begin pouring out of the sky, battling one another, crashing into populated human cities. The apocalypse has begun, and the Horseman War arrives. Slaying both angel and demon alike, war eventually finds its way to Abaddon, the leader of the Hell's Guard, a group of angels dedicated to wiping out the demons. Seeing the Horseman surprises Abaddon, he claims that war shouldn't be here, which tips War off when he notices that the other horsemen aren't here. Abaddon says that the 7th seal was not broken, shortly before being killed by a mighty demon named Straga. Right before War lands the killing blow on that same demon, he is sapped of his power and falls to the ground. He shouts out that the law has been broken, right before Straga crushes him. War is brought and chained before the Charred Council. He is charged with conspiring against the balanced and setting off the apocalypse, consequently destroying the kingdom of man. Imprisoned he will remain. It is here we turn our eyes to the Pale Rider, to the horseman called Death. For he believes his brother War to be innocent, that he is imprisoned by the results of some conspiracy. So Death journeys to the Vale to confront the Crow Father, the Keeper of Secrets, on how to clear his brother's name. The Crow Father confirms that War is indeed the victim of a conspiracy and that clearing his name is a wasted effort, to which Death reveals he doesn't intend to clear his brother's name, but to completely undo the crime he is accused of, to resurrect humanity. The Crow Father tells him to do so he needs to seek out the Tree of Life, but he will not open a portal for Death unless he takes back the amulet with the souls of the Nephilim. Death refuses and the two begin to fight. Eventually, the Crow Father is impaled on Death's scythe, prompting him to open the portal, but with his dying breath, the Crow Father shatters the amulet and embeds it in Death's chest. Death awakens in the Forge Land sometime later and is met by the Makers, a neutral race of old ones who originally forged the cities of both heaven and hell. Death is told that a great corruption is spreading over this realm and many others, and is asked to help. But Death only intends to help his brother and needs to find the Tree of Life. As luck would have it though, the path to the tree is barred by corruption. So Death will have to activate a great guardian construct forged by the Makers for the very purpose of fighting corruption. But after going through the troubles of activating the Guardian, it is revealed that the construct itself is afflicted with corruption, so Death brings it down. But it is not in vain. After the corrupted Guardian is defeated, one of the Makers gives his life to bring it back free of corruption. This allows Death to clear the path and press on towards the tree. Upon reaching his destination, Death is pulled into the tree. It is here that he encounters the avatar of the corruption, who is revealed to be Absalom, the first of the Nephilim, Death's former brother before he slayed him long ago. The tree spits Death out in the Dead Plains, the realm of the dead. He runs into a traveling merchant of a long-dead race named Ostrogoth. Ostrogoth tells Death that the tree cannot give him what he needs, only reveal it. That what he desires is the Well of Souls, a place of unimaginable power where souls of the dead are channeled into the worlds of the living to be reborn, the key to life, death, and creation itself. Death seeks out guidance in the Dead Plains to find the Well of Souls. Of course, the spirits and entities here aren't just going to help a horseman without receiving favors of their own. But after helping out some of the locals by killing and retrieving things, Death is finally directed to the city of the dead where the well resides, as well as a recent soul that can help him. At the entrance of the well, Death encounters a demon known as the Wailing Host, which holds within it all the souls of mankind. So step 1 in resurrecting humanity is to slay this demon and release humanity's souls, which Death does. But then he is met with a familiar voice. It is the spirit of the Crowfather, recently dead by Death's own hand, of course. He tells Death that his job is not yet done, that he merely released the human souls back into the corrupted and broken well. That in order to get into the well to repair it, he needs to retrieve 2 keys. One kept by angels and one by demons. The angels hide their key in the city of Lost Light, and that the demon Samael holds the other. Death asks the Crowfather why he and the horseman never knew of the Well of Souls, to which he replies, great power must be tempered by ignorance. He also reveals that the well holds the power to resurrect the Nephilim, something that the Charred Council wished to keep hidden from the horseman. Death first travels to Lost Light to find the angel's key. He meets the Archon, who says even this holy city has fallen to the corruption, but he is the only one spared of it. He of course has a favor to ask of Death before handing over the key. Death is to retrieve a rod capable of helping the Archon cleanse the city of corruption from Earth. When the rod is returned and the city cleansed, the Archon tells Death that the way to the tower that holds the key is clear. It is in this tower that he finds the scribe, who when beaten into submission reveals that it is the Archon who has the key, and that the Archon fell to corruption when he used the scribe's gift of second sight and was revealed the truth behind the apocalypse. Death returns to the Archon and slays him, taking the first key. Death then travels to Shadow's Edge to find Samael and the second key. He soon finds that most of the place is in ruin, indicating that Samael is no longer in power here. He does, however, run into Lilith, the proclaimed mother of the Nephilim, as she was the one who formed Absalom from the dust of angel and demon. Lilith grants Death the power of the Phase Walker, allowing him to travel back in time to when Samael was in power, so that he can retrieve the key. Before Death leaves though, Lilith tells him to follow his heart, and when the opportunity arrives, to resurrect the Nephilim instead of humanity. Death phase walks back in time to confront Samael. The demon is reluctant to give up the key so easily, and a fight erupts between the two. But after a long battle, neither side having gained the advantage, Samael decides to break off the fight and give Death the key anyways, stating that whatever is to come will be quite a show. Death returns to the Well of Souls and uses the 2 keys to unlock it. Here he encounters Absalom once again, who claims that he isn't the source of the corruption, but that it was created from the slaughter of his people, that its true source is Death's heart. Another long and vicious fight ensues, but this time Death comes out on top and slays Absalom. Again. Death stands at the edge of the well. The Crowfather appears and tells Death that whomever he chooses to resurrect, be it humanity or the Nephilim, that he would have to sacrifice and damn the other to fuel the well's power. Death briefly contemplates his choices, but ultimately decides to restore humanity as we see him plunge into the well with the souls of the Nephilim still embedded in his chest. Now we turn our gaze to the Rider of Ruin, the Horseman War. It's not super clear how much time has passed since Death jumped into the well and the next time we see War, but we do know that from the time War was accused and imprisoned until now has been 100 years. He sits before the Charred Council as they accuse him of his crimes, that no call was given, yet the Destroyer marched, and the claims are that War was found under the Destroyer's black banner. War retorts that the claims are false, that the seals were broken and he was summoned. The Council asks why then the other horsemen were not summoned, and that all of the seals are hidden and still intact, that there was no call. That War aided the Dark Ones, broke a sacred covenant that has doomed mankind and threatened the balance. War says that he serves only the council, only the balance, as the horsemen always have. He asks the council to send him back that he may punish the ones truly responsible. The council asks how he will carry out this task without his powers. War says that if he fails, then the demons will have carried out their sentence. The council grant his wish and send him back to Earth to attempt to clear his name. But he is first bound to an entity known as the Watcher that will watch over War and ensure his loyalty to the council. He is told to seek out a demon named Vulgrim for information. Vulgrim tells War to find Samael, who though imprisoned will help conspire against the Destroyer. War releases Samael from his prison, who then tells him that the way to the Destroyer is to gain entry to the great tower that holds the Black Throne. To access this tower, War will have to bring Samael the beating hearts of the Destroyer's 4 Tower Guardians. War goes after Tiamat first, and soon after brings Samael back her heart. He then tells War to go after the Griever next, but to do so, he'll need the help of the Black Hammer to clear the way. But first, Samael feeds into War's churning anger, asking him why he lets the Watcher keep him on a string like a puppet and powerless. Samael restrains the Watcher and bids War to take back some of his power, which he does. Setting off to find the Black Hammer, War discovers that the hammer is a person rather than an object. A maker by the name of Ulthane that managed to escape from the Forged Lands before the corruption took over. Before being able to speak, Ulthane and War have to battle their way through Uriel and her Hellsguard, who blame War for the death of their former leader Abaddon. After fending the angels off, Ulthane opens the way to the Griever for War, and War then returns to Samael with its heart. The third guardian is the Stygian, which War dispatches after being reunited with his horse Ruin. The fourth and last guardian is Silitha, who tells War just before he slays her that the hearts don't open the way to the tower, but rather they unlock Samael's full power. War returns with the last heart and confronts Samael about his lie. He admits to the ruse, but says that he'll still hold up his end of the bargain one way or another and grants War access to the tower, so War makes his way to the Black Throne. There, he finds Azrael, the Angel of Death and Keeper of the Well of Souls, imprisoned. Azrael tells War that the gate must be shut, that the Destroyer is drawing power from the well, that if War frees him, he will take him to Straga, the Destroyer's mightiest chosen. Azrael reveals to War that the 7th seal was never broken. War tells him that Abaddon said the same thing just before he dies. Azrael then admits to being part of the conspiracy that framed War. He tells him that the universe is sick and that the Council is blind to it. That he, Abaddon, and Ulthane conspired to fix it. That they had planned to break all the seals, save for the final one, to draw out Hell's forces to appear as though they had broken the truce, and then destroy them in one fell swoop, and Hell would be to blame. After Azrael destroyed the seals with the Armageddon blade, Ulthane reforged the seals to appear as though nothing had happened. That Abaddon had held on to the last seal and had intentionally not broken it as to not call the 4 horsemen, which is why Abaddon was taken by surprise to see War on that day. This answers some of War's questions, but not all. Either way, War frees Azrael and he takes him to face off against Straga again. This time, however, War is victorious in slaying the mighty demon. Destroying Straga, though, destroys the tower as well, and as it begins crumbling around them, Azrael opens a portal through the Well of Souls which he and War escape through. Azrael brings War to the Garden of Eden, and tells him that Abaddon came to him after his death, somehow being brought back to life. Azrael brought Abaddon to Eden to seek answers from the Tree of Knowledge, and now he has brought War here to do the same. He tells him the tree can give him answers he cannot. War approaches the tree and is given a vision that shows Abaddon's prior plans failing, and him being killed by Straga. In the darkness, a voice calls out to Abaddon, telling him that his crimes would be punished in heaven and that he would be damned. It then asks him if he would serve in heaven or rule in hell. Abaddon chooses the latter and subsequently becomes the Destroyer. The tree then shows War the Council debating amongst themselves about what should be done about Abaddon, showing War that they had long before knew of Abaddon and his plans. One suggests sending the 4 horsemen, but then it is decided that the seals are not broken and the 4 will not see reason for justice, they would only see murder and not oblige. Then they determine that they need send only one, to whom vengeance will be enough to carry out their will and fight the Destroyer, which tells War that he had been betrayed by the Council and intentionally framed in Abaddon's plot by the very Council he served, that he and Abaddon were just pawns in a much bigger game. Finally, War is shown a vision of the future, of Uriel and the Hell's Guard fighting against the Destroyer. He also sees himself die as a blade pierces him through the back. Azrael tells War that to defeat the Destroyer, he needs to find the Armageddon Blade. Unfortunately, the blade was broken and its pieces scattered, but if he should return the pieces to Ulthane, he could reforge it anew. While collecting the pieces, War is confronted again by Uriel, but without her Hellguard. She challenges him to Nex Sacramentum, a death oath that binds them until one of them takes the other's life. War agrees and the two battle. After defeating Uriel, War spares her, claiming that it's his oath and he decides when she dies. He then reveals to her everything he learned about Abaddon, and she flies away enraged. War finishes collecting the pieces of the Armageddon Blade and Ulthane reforges it, and it's time for War to take the fight to the Destroyer. When he arrives, he sees Uriel and the Hellguard already in battle, just as his vision showed. The angels back away as War approaches the Destroyer. From its claws fall a barely alive Uriel. Abaddon tries to convince War to join him, that the Council, Heaven and Hell hate him and he had nothing to lose. War declines, telling him he's not going to kill him for duty. War and the Destroyer begin their long fight. War bests him in both his demonic and angelic forms, but before long Abaddon is slain, likely for good this time, and the seventh seal falls from his corpse. War goes to retrieve it, but is crippled by the Watcher's chains on him. The Watcher reveals to War that this was always a one-way ticket, that the Council wasn't just going to let him walk free after all of this, knowing that he'd never stop seeking his justice against them, so he has to go back into his cage. But before the Watcher can strike at War, Uriel plunges the Armageddon Blade through War's back, just as his vision had shown. She claims that the death oath is fulfilled as he falls dead onto the ground, thus breaking the hold the Watcher held over him. Uriel turns the blade towards the Watcher, but instead of striking him, she strikes the seventh seal, shattering it. With the seal broken, War is revived to answer the call of the Horseman, and no longer bound by the Watcher. Before the Watcher can strike down Uriel, War intercedes and kills his tormentor. Uriel claims that War knew what would happen all along, that he expected it, that he knew she would kill him, severing the chain that bounded him to the Council, and that the seal would bring him back unbound, and that is why he spared her life. He retorts that he spared her life because he would not have Heaven's honor die with its champion. She then tells him that the debt is repaid, but that the duty she holds may one day call her to raise her sword against him, and if that day came, she would not hesitate. She tells War that he will be hunted by the Council, by Heaven, and by Hell. How would he wage this war alone? War looks to the shattered seal, and in the background is seen the other horsemen falling from the sky, answering the call.
You will be hunted. The White City for certain, the Council, and there will be others. You would wage this war alone?
No. Not alone.
War had broken the seventh seal, summoning the horsemen of the apocalypse. And the number of the riders shall ever be 4.
Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want more like it, be sure to hit that subscribe button, as well as the notification bell next to it. Consider following me on Twitter, and if you want to support me even further, check out my Patreon page. Links for everything can be found on the screen or in the description below. Peace 'em out!